So some of you guys expressed some confusion, uncertainty, etc. when you're looking at your courses overall. And I talked with some of you guys about this before and asked if it might be helpful to go over some of it. So based on responses, I put this together, so hopefully it can help you guys out. So things have changed over the past few years. The students who graduated last year were the first ones to graduate on the new plan, and that's the same plan that all of you guys are on. So no one's on the old plan anymore. And so it's called the Foundation High School program. It has your base requirements, and then you get to choose the endorsements, and that's what you were supposed to decide on when you were in 8th grade, right? So before entering 9th grade, you were supposed to choose one. Now you're required to choose one, but you're not limited to one. You can earn multiple, you just have to officially choose a specific one. So what are your actual requirements? So these are your actual requirements for the base program. So 4 English, 3 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, 2 foreign language, which they call LOTE, language other than English, 1 PE, 1 fine art, and 5 elective credits. To get an endorsement, you need an additional math, an additional science, and 2 additional elective credits. Plus, you need to make sure that you satisfy the requirements for the endorsement that you want. So going back to this, that changes this to being 4 math, 4 science, and this to be 7 elective credits. So it goes from a total of 22 to a total of 26. Now, as far as figuring everything out goes, it's a good idea to actually create some sort of like visual to help you like map it, to help guide you. So I recommend creating something like this. So essentially, it's your 8-period day, right, across the 4 years, keeping in mind you may have earned some credits already prior to high school, and then like listing things out sort of by subject area, right? So your English credits, your foreign language credits, which here at our school should be all 4 years, which is good because that's actually what colleges want to see. Colleges consider foreign language to be one of the core classes. They don't consider it to be this add-on like Texas does, or at least your strong colleges do. Your social studies, sciences, maths, and then you have your elective blocks, right? Now, that can still look a little like, I don't know, like a lot to figure out, right? But some of this is already figured out for you, right? Like you don't actually have to figure out 8 for each thing. It looks a little bit more something like this, right? Like your English is pretty much figured out, right? English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4, or diploma level if you're going diploma level. Then your foreign languages, you have to decide, right? Like what are you doing for foreign language? Are you going to do Spanish, French, German, whatever? Are you going to do like half and half, right? So like Spanish and Italian, or also sort of when are you splitting? Are you doing diploma level? So that's up to you to figure out. History, right? It's pretty much figured out, right? Geography or AP Geography, World History or WAP, and then at the junior and senior level, are you doing U.S. History and then Government Eco, or are you doing History of the Americas, which includes your U.S. History credit and your Government Eco credit already in there? Your sciences, so biochemistry, physics, or one of the diplomas, or Earth and Space, so what are you doing there? Your math credits, right? You pretty much just have to figure out where you started, right? Did you do algebra in 8th grade? Did you do geometry in 8th grade? Did you come here in 9th grade and you just started algebra? Where do you fit in that? And that kind of decides where these fall, right? Once you know where you're starting, then you should have the rest figured out. And then, at the higher level, are you doing DP or not? And then you've got your elective credits to figure out. But some of these are also figured out for you, and we can go into that more in a moment or two. So, talking about those specific requirements, we went over more or less what you have here, but let's talk about like what are some of the options, right? So you're required to have English 1 and 2. Those are required from the state. You have to have English 3 or an AP or IB equivalent, right? So that's that DP level. And then you need English 4 or an AP or DP equivalent, or depending on the situation, sometimes you can substitute like creative writing. We used to have debate. I don't know if we'll get it back. So if you're in debate for 3 years, that 3rd level can count. We've had journalism classes in the past, so like broadcast, yearbook, newspaper. We've had all of these at different times. If you're in one of those for 3 years and you're at the 3rd level, then that can count as the 4th year as well. But typically, students don't do that. Like, they don't typically like earn that instead of an English 4. They typically earn both. Your math requirements, so you have to have Algebra 1, you have to have geometry, and then one more from these, right? And then you need another one to earn an endorsement, right? So, yeah. So I've bolded some of these because to earn an endorsement, it has to be one of the bolded ones. So this, that, one of these, and then one of those bolded ones to earn an endorsement. Science has a similar setup. You have to have biology or an AP or IB equivalent. You have to have chemistry or physics or an AP or IB equivalent. And then you need one more, so one of these. And you need one additional one of these to earn an endorsement, right? There may be some science credits that don't count as your last one for an endorsement, but as far as the ones that we offer on our campus, all of them count as your 3rd science credit and as the additional one that you need for an endorsement. So the next thing, you need 3 social studies credits, but you're expected to have 4 by the time you graduate from here. So the state says you have to have World Geo or World History or an AP equivalent, so like World Geo AP or WAP. You have to have US History or an AP or IB equivalent, which ours is HODA, and you have to have Government and Economics or an AP equivalent or an IB equivalent, which for us is also HODA. So you get that credit and those credits inside of HODA. You actually earn 3 credits in HODA, 2 for US History and 1 for Gov and 1 for Eco. So your load credits, this is language other than English, essentially foreign language, so you have to have at least 2 levels in one of these according to the state. Most colleges are expecting 3 but don't require it, but a lot of your really strong colleges actually would like to see you in every year, which is also what we expect here. And then you have to have at least 1 PE credit, so if you're on our campus, those are your choices. If you're at Guthrie, you can also do that instead, right? And then your arts credit. So these are the choices on our campus. This is a Guthrie option. Now, we talked a little bit about the requirements and we talked about the schedule a little bit, right? So this, right? But there are some stipulations as well. So as an IB MYP student, which if you're 6th through 10th grade, you are one, you're supposed to be in the different subject groups, right? So most of these are already covered just by the requirements of Texas, right? So like you're going to be in an English, which is what this is. You're going to be in foreign languages, which this is. History, science, math, right? You're going to be in those 5. It's just, what about the other ones? So in 6th through 8th grade, you have to be in all 8. Well, you have to be receiving instructional hours in all 8. So you may not be in the class, but there may be some embedded stuff in some of the middle school classes. At high school, you have to be in at least 6 of the 8 courses. So when you're looking at these, one of your electives needs to be in one of the other 3 categories. So arts, PE, or design, which for us is like the classes I teach. Now, that being said, is they have to be people that are trained by IB as well. So they can't just be like something that you're doing somewhere else. So like if you do Guthrie, that is technology, sure, or that could be arts, right? If you're doing culinary arts, something like that. But it doesn't count because they're not IB trained. So a Guthrie class would take up 2 blocks, but it wouldn't satisfy that requirement. Your last one would have to be one of the other ones, like art, design, PE. That's typically fine. It's only a concern if you decide to double up on one of your other classes, right? So you decide to take 2 foreign languages and a Guthrie class, then you're not meeting the requirement. Or you decide to take 2 science classes or 2 history classes or whatever, and Guthrie, you're not meeting the requirement. So you have to keep that in mind. You need to be in at least 6 of the 8, which really isn't too hard. So really your schedule should end up looking maybe something a little bit more like this, right? So are you going to do an art class, are you going to do a PE, or are you going to do a design, right? And you don't have to do all of them every year, right? But you have to do at least 6. And then when you get to here, you may or may not have more options. So those requirements that we discussed already were just for the base program. Now let's talk a little bit about endorsements. So these are your 5 endorsement options. Each one has different requirements, and you can earn multiples. A lot of our students do earn multiples. So arts and humanities, you can earn it multiple ways. Lots of students on our campus earn these because earning 4 credits in the same language gets it to earning 2 credits in one language and 2 in another will also do that. Now there is a stipulation. If you're in an IB diploma foreign language class at the 11th and 12th grade, that might not count as this because we consider those one course, and Texas says that one course that earns 2 credits at the IB diploma level doesn't count as both. So it depends on when you switch. If you are in like Spanish, like 6th grade through 10th grade, and you earn like, I don't know, what, 3 credits or something like that for that? Or do you earn 4 credits? I don't know. That's something that you might want to look into. But if you only have 3 credits in one at the end of 10th grade, and then you switch to get 2 credits in the other, those last 2 credits, if they're diploma level, won't satisfy this. So if you're going to switch, you might also consider switching between 9th and 10th grade. Those are things to think about. A fair number of students also get it through arts, right? So if you're really into choir or theater, as long as you're taking something in coherent sequence, you can earn it that way. So essentially what that means is like you're not doing something like where you do like theater 1, art 1, choir 1, then like art 2, right? Like it should make sense, right? So if you're doing like performing art, like theater and choir might make sense, or if you're interested in performing like dance and choir might make sense, right? But if you're like hopping back and forth, like dance, art, choir, art again, like that doesn't make sense. So that wouldn't earn that. So you just have to make sure that it makes sense. 5 history credits, which if you're doing diploma, you might be able to earn. You'll earn 5 credits, but I'm not sure if it'll count because of that whole last 2 years, right? So when you're doing HODA, you get 2 U.S. history credits for 1 year, and you get your U.S. government and eco half credits each, which make 1 credit. So that 2-year U.S. history one might not satisfy, but still the other ways, there's several other ways to get it. Business and industry, this is a lot of times Guthrie for our students, but you can get it other ways. So there are a few CTE courses offered on our campus. You could earn them through the tech apps classes, and we'll go over that in a little bit more. Journalism, when we do have it on our campus, is another way to earn it. So 3 credits in one of these specialties plus 1 more in another credit, because there's only 3 levels for each of these, right? So you'd have to get that 4th one somewhere else. So these are the tech apps options, right? And we actually have more or less the same chart, but this is the chart that we turn into the district of sort of how it looks, right? So typically you start here, and these other ones, they can kind of vary when you take the other ones, but this is typically the starting points. Multidisciplinary, a lot of our students earn this, because basically if you're getting 4 credits in the 4 core subjects, including chem or physics, and including English 4 or equivalent, then you earn this one, and a lot of our students do. You could also get 4 AP or IB credits, so a lot of our students do that, or 4 out of sequence credits from the other endorsements that didn't actually satisfy one of those endorsements. Public service, this is the hardest one to get here at our school because you have to go to Guthrie to earn that one. And then we have STEM, so a lot of our students get this. You can earn this a couple different ways. You could earn it through math, and you have to have these 3 credits plus 2 more of these, or you do 3 of these credits plus these 3, right? So yeah, now they don't double count. You can't be like, oh, like algebra 2 twice, right? That doesn't count. So these 3 plus 3 of these up here. And then science, 4 of these credits, or these 3 plus 3 of these. And then your STEM options. So these, or once again 3 of these plus 3 of these. As far as the tech apps go, we've turned this in before, but this is a little bit challenging to read, but you can look at this a little bit if you want. You typically start at fundamentals, although you might start at CS1, and then up to CS2. We're basically getting rid of CS3 because we have diploma level now. We have AP, CSP crossed off here, but actually that might be a really good practice for IB diploma level computer science. So this might actually be a good route for students interested in diploma computer science, but we're still looking at this. We're not currently offering that. That's a possible future plan. The next thing to think about when it comes to your schedule is, do you want to do CP or do you want to do DP? Because then your schedule gets a little bit more tricky, right? Because there are certain requirements, at least 2 DP courses, career-related study, foreign language classes. This is the personal and professional skills class, and then you need to have additional stuff outside of school, service learning and your reflective project, which is similar to the MYP personal project. So your schedule would look something like this-ish, right? And so you only have about 6-ish electives in here, which has to include your art and your PE in there somewhere. DP is similar, but actually it's a little bit freer because you don't have the career-related study requirement. But there are still quite a few requirements. You have to have 6 different diploma level courses. You must have these 5. This one is italicized on purpose because you don't have to have this one. You either do an arts or you can do an additional one of these. If you do another foreign language one, you can get a bilingual diploma depending on how well you score. There's also theory of knowledge, and then there are 2 outside of class things, extended essay and CAS hours. So your schedule would end up looking something like this. And that's it. So this video is already kind of long, so I'm not going to go into it more, but if you have additional questions, ask, and if I can help you, I will.